You guys are getting some things done in this city in a couple of different ways. So good morning to all of you, and thank you for being here. It's been a great week, actually, for veterans in our community. Many of you may know the Veterans Administration just announced earlier this week that the new Veterans Clinic will indeed be built in Lincoln, and it will be built out on 70th and O Street, where I think most of the veterans wanted it to be. So that's really cool. It's certainly a major step forward for the veterans. But in fact, that whole area out there will now be redeveloped, so it's going to be a major step forward for seniors generally and for the city as a whole. An apartment, in addition to that, I think most of you know that an apartment complex for veterans who are homeless or near homeless was opened at the VA campus last year. There has been some building going on out there already. That's a new development that, of course, is tied to these announcements today. We'll hear more about the issue of veterans' homelessness in just a few minutes, but wanted to start today with Roy's great idea, which was a brand new event in Lincoln, our first Veterans Parade. As an Army veteran myself, I'm pleased to be joined today by two other veterans. First of all, the guy of the day, City Councilmember Roy Christensen, who was an Army captain, Medical Corps, right? I was just a first lieutenant, so I have to hold the salute. And Antonio Marino, who's the chairperson of the Marine Corps League, the 370th Cornhusker Detachment. That's the group that has volunteered to sponsor the parade and put it together, and Antonio's here today to tell you a lot more about that. But we thank you both for your leadership. I know we have other veterans in the room today. Raise your hands if you're a veteran. Yeah. Thank you for your service. The Veterans Parade. We're calling on all residents of the city to participate and be a part of it. It's set now, I think, for Saturday, November 3rd in the area around the state capitol. Opening ceremonies begin at 11 a.m. on the Capitol's North Steps. And it's a half-mile parade, as I understand it, that'll move down K Street from 21st to South 14th. If I didn't get that right, Antonio will correct it quite quickly here. But we never do enough to honor our veterans, and this will bring the community together for fun and for a patriotic day. So I'm here today to encourage all residents to support the parade and to line the streets to show their gratitude to veterans and their families, as well as to those who are currently serving in the military. It was about a year ago when Roy initiated and introduced a resolution for this parade. Again, I applaud him for his leadership, and I'd like to invite him to speak here this morning. And then we'll move to Antonio and more details about the actual parade. Roy,
thank you. Well, I believe in giving credit where credit is due, and I will tell you that about 18 months ago, a dear friend of mine, Doug Evans, a former school board member, came to me with this idea and said, Roy, you really got to do this. And I got excited about it, agreed with him, and was able to bring this resolution forward. And the people who deserve credit for this begin with Doug Evans, and then it goes on to city staff who worked hard to try to come up with a way to make this happen in our community. And then after the council passed the resolution and the mayor signed it, then we were looking for an organization to sponsor it, to co-sponsor this with the city. And the Marine Corps League stepped up. And for those of you who have spent any time with Marines, you know that they can become a force of nature, and they have really carried on well with this. So I'm pleased to give credit to the city staff, to the Marine Corps League, and to all of the veterans in our community. This is a truly wonderful event where veterans will honor veterans. And with that, I'll turn this over to Antonio Marino.
Hello. A big thank you to Mayor Chris Beutler and Councilman Roy Christensen for all your support. This parade wouldn't happen without your involvement. I also want to thank my fellow Marines, Kevin Rickey, David Luton, and Alex Bratt. Also, excuse me, another member is Randy Kassebaum. He is not a Marine, but he does great work with the National Veterans Tribute Network, and we love him for it. The Marine Corps League got involved with the Lincoln Veterans Parade because of family. No matter, no matter what branch you served, we are all brothers and sisters in arms. This parade is an excellent way to share the love and appreciation for one another. In addition, to show how outstanding the community is in support. The only problem with having Marines running the show is we don't like to quit. Whether rain, snow, or an 11 a.m. Husker kickoff, the parade will happen. I invite you to DVR the game and watch history in the making. 2018 is a great year to start the first Veterans Parade this city has ever seen. We'll kick this off with a theme of 100 years. November 11th marks the day the Armistice Treaty was signed 100 years ago, ending the Great War. That day is what inspired Veterans Day, to recognize all who served. I know the parade is not on Veterans Day. There are many events already scheduled. We didn't want to mess with anyone's set traditions, one of which is the Veterans Walk to the annual ceremony at Antelope Park. The Lincoln Veterans Parade will hopefully be a new tradition, and we welcome volunteers, sponsors and sponsors to help with the salute to hometown heroes. There are also entry forms available at the LincolnVeteransParade.org website for your floats, bands, vehicles, and walking units. With continued community support, Marine Corps League is looking to make this parade bigger and better every year. We would love to see you there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Also want to mention that the advisory committee of the Veterans Memorial Garden is having its annual ceremony at Ald Recreation Center on Veterans Day, Sunday, November 11th, of course, also starts at 11 a.m. And hopefully folks will support both events. So with that, are there any questions about the parade? Good to go? Antonio, you've answered all the questions. This is amazing. I never get away with that. All right, so at this time, I want to bring up some folks who are going to help me share some more great news about homelessness among veterans in our city. Kelly Miller-Lose, the Mental Health Specialty Program Director with the U.S. Department of Veteran Affairs. Would you come forward?
They're all right in front here.
Okay. And I'm not sure if we've met before.
I don't think we have. Great
It's
to
very
meet you.
nice to meet you, yeah.
Thank you for having us.
Jeff Chambers is the Project Director of the UNL Center for Children, Families, and Law, representing the Lincoln's Homeless Coalition. Yeah. And then Earl Redrick, the Omaha Field Officer Director, U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Glad to have you with us.
Yes, sir. We've met before.
Yeah, right. Welcome back. So, I am very pleased to announce that Lincoln has received official notice now that our community has effectively ended homelessness among veterans. The notice came in a letter from the United States Interagency Council on Homelessness. That agency coordinates the federal assistance to homelessness in partnership with 19 different federal member agencies. And a copy of that is attached to the news release. The official designation is called Functional Zero. That doesn't mean that we will never see another veteran experiencing homelessness in this city, but it does mean that a community's homeless response system has now the capacity and the coordination to immediately house any veteran who identifies as homeless. Lincoln is the 62nd community, as I understand it, in the country to achieve that benchmark. So we're moving ahead in the whole country. It's great. No one who has served our country in the military, of course, should face homelessness. That goal has become reality in the capital city, demonstrating, again, I think, the respect and the gratitude of residents have for their veterans. This achievement would not have been possible without the commitment of the Lincoln Homeless Coalition, a collaborative group of about 45 organizations working together to address the issue of homelessness overall in our community. The coalition has developed what's called a continuum of care plan to provide what individuals need at every stage as they move from homelessness to self-sufficiency. Coalition members have worked with our federal agencies to make sure all veterans have shelter and the services they need to improve their lives. This is a very proud milestone for our entire community. And I want to thank very much everybody involved, members of the coalition and all of our local, state, and federal partners who have worked together to taking Lincoln one step closer to ending homelessness altogether, hopefully. So at this time, let's hear from Carrie and Jeff and Earl. And thank you guys again.
Thank you.
Please.
All right. Well, thank you, Mayor. It's a proud day. All right. So what an amazing day for veterans in our community. Veteran homelessness has ended in Lincoln. This is a significant accomplishment, but does not end our commitment. Our local VA leadership has made ending homelessness for veterans a priority in Nebraska. Our VA HUD-VASH program has made a significant impact on this effort. This achievement would not have happened without the outstanding collaboration between the VA outreach team, the coordinated entry team, our community stakeholders, and the Lincoln Homeless Coalition leadership. Thank you to UNL Centers for Children, Family, and the Law for being a force in driving this effort. Nationally, veteran homelessness is down 50% since 2010. However, we must stay focused on the mission to end homelessness for all people, children, families, and of course, our nation's veterans. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Beutler and Carrie. And I see many familiar faces from the coalition, the Homeless Coalition. You guys need to stand up because you guys are the ones that make this happen. Lincoln Police Department, our tremendous outreach is represented. Our housing service providers are here, our HMIS staff, our coordinated entry staff. All this group is what makes this possible. I'm going to start, unfortunately, the fact is that our veterans are at a higher risk of experiencing homelessness than our overall population. Not just in Lincoln, but across the country. We need to keep that in mind as we celebrate this achievement. With that in mind, it's a pleasure to be here today for the announcement of this achievement by our community and to represent not only our Lincoln Continuum of Care and the Homeless Coalition, but also as a veteran myself. The achievement of effectively ending homelessness for veterans in Lincoln has come about through the dedicated and committed efforts of our entire community. This designation signifies that the city of Lincoln has developed and implemented a continuum of care system that is able to identify when a vet experiences homelessness, is able to immediately provide shelter to that veteran when they want it, and has the housing capacities to swiftly move veterans into permanent housing. Those are the components that we need, that our system has developed. Having ended veterans homelessness, as the mayor and Carrie have indicated, does not mean that no veteran will ever experience homeless in our community, but what we do hope is that it's a rare event. When those events do unfortunately occur, they will be of short duration. And homelessness for that veteran, we expect and hope and we'll do our best, will be a one-time event and never happen again. This achievement is possible only through the dedicated efforts of our entire community, and importantly, will only be maintained through the continued support of our homeless system through prevention and outreach, through our shelter system, our coordinated entry system, and our housing services and supports. Thank you to the many persons in our community that have made this come about. They serve, support, and work very hard every day to make the lives of those in difficult circumstances better. And finally, thank you to the men and women who have served and sacrificed for this nation. They deserve our best. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Earl, and I promise to be very brief. I know you don't want to hear any more talking points or stats or nothing like that, but I just start off by saying, Mayor, thanks for inviting the local HUD office. I'm proud to be here. And to all of you all who are here, our housing partners across Lincoln, across the state, on behalf of our Secretary and Leadership, Dr. Ben Carson, we're pleased to be here. This is a special occasion for the agency and for me personally. I think most of you in the room know me. You've seen me a number of times. You know my role at HUD, but you also know that I served 22 years in the United States Army. So this particular work that we do around veterans, home and housing veterans, very important and emotional to me. This is a very proud occasion for me professionally and personally, and I'm glad to take part. For our partners at the VA, what a phenomenal partnership. I can't tell you how we got started on this partnership, but it was a worthy endeavor, and the collaboration between the two agencies couldn't be a worthier cause. So thank you all for partnering with us, and thanks for supporting this particular effort. And I'll just leave you with two things. I was looking at some stats and reading over some stuff as I drove down this morning. That's a bad idea, and I didn't say it. But I did. I was looking over some stuff from 2015 until now to get to this point of functional zero with our veterans and housing them. The city of Lincoln, you folks worked really, really hard in reducing homeless veteran rate by 81% since 2015. At the same time, you increased housing opportunities for those homeless vets through our supportive housing partnerships by 60%. That is phenomenal work when you think about all the regulatory requirements and all the moving pieces it takes to work with the VA and HUD and other partners to move funds, move resources to where folks need them the most. So thanks to all of you. Thanks again, Mayor, for supporting the folks out there on the front lines doing the work, and we thank all of you all for being here this morning. Thank you.
We're going to forgive you your bad driving habit just this one time. Are there any questions about the homelessness efforts? All right. Good job, gang. Thank you all very
I
much.
do have one brief announcement while the cameras are still rolling.
Okay.
Okay.
Identify yourself.
I will. I'm Diane Gonzalez with the Mayor's Office, and I had a conversation with Sarah Hoyle from County Human Services right before this. This is why it's a surprise. She wanted me to make sure everyone knew that Project Homeless Connect was coming up Tuesday, October 16th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. The event for Lincoln's homeless community is one day, one stop to get all the services you need. That includes medical, legal, social, employment, education, excuse me, and this is all going to happen at Pinnacle Bank Arena. So I hope everyone will promote that. If any members of the media want to do an interview about this, talk to Brad Schmeichel. Brad, raise your hand, and he can connect you with someone who's involved with Project Homeless Connect. So that's it.
All right. Very good. Something more?
Pictures.
Pictures. All right. Great. Thank you. We're done, I think, except for pictures.